Holy Chinook! It's another episode of Wild Salmon Warrior Radio. We're here in the studio on Burnaby Mountain, CJSF, on the unceded Coast Salish airwaves. Today we're talking about LNG, your liquefied natural gas. We're going to be talking about the resistance, Science World, and the LNG proponents who've embarked on a community outreach seminar series aimed at generating public support and social license for their project. Last week in Kamloops, a number of land defenders interrupted the presentation like a bad student. We interviewed Shemama Irving to talk about what happened. So stay tuned on the airwaves, up your watershed. We'll be right back. Don't go far. All right, Wild Salmon Children of the Future, welcome back. It's JPG, honored to be your host on the airwaves here on Wild Salmon Warrior Radio. We're broadcasting on CJSF 90.1 FM in Burnaby and stream on the internets at cjsf.ca. And you can listen to us on TELUS HD channel 70114, but you'll just see a blank screen and hear our voices, so don't be alarmed. All right, we have an exciting episode today. We're jam-packed here in the studio, just like the watershed in midsummer. You know, we got a lot of different fishes from all over the world here. So we'll do a roundtable hello. We have Madeline. Welcome.
Hello, welcome.
Can you say something in German for us, please?
Okay. Guten Tag. Willkommen zu dem wilden Salmon Kriegertag Radio. Ja, wir sind ganz alle aufgeregt und haben einen tollen Gast hier. Und ja, bleibt dabei.
Beautiful. What did you say? Just for those non-Germans.
Yes, I introduced the show.
Thank you. All right. Beautiful. Well, that counts as German-Canadian content, I think.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Probably.
Great, thank you. And Shemama's here.
Hi, Shemama. I'm really good at getting in the way.
Well, you survived the transit ride on the 135 here.
I did.
The bus was resisting your trip here. Don't worry, it's part of the ritual. So
the transit. Woohoo!
Yeah, welcome. Public transportation. And we have on the camera here Kelly Patrick Moore. Hello.
Hey, y'all.
All right, so he's doing he's mimicking a CSIS video project for us, but we see him, so that's not how they usually work. But all right, Wild Salmon Warrior Radio, and today we're going to talk about LNG resistance. So for those of you that don't know, LNG, liquefied natural gas, is a large industrial project that the British Columbia provincial government, led by Christy Clark, is trying to expand, and so they're doing a number of activities to kind of like let everyone know how beautiful it is. So they've partnered with Science World. The industry has partnered with Science World in an outreach tour to promote how wonderful the jobs are, and so that's a bit of a problem for some people who understand really what possibly is the reality. And we have Shemama Irving in the studio to talk about that. But first, we're gonna take it to some local news items. So those of you in Kwantlen Territory know that Kinder Morgan had drilled in your watershed without your permission. Last week, Kinder Morgan admitted to doing some exploratory well monitoring drilling in the Kwantlen Territory in what's known near the Salmon River. And so there's a number of news items out for that, including on Vancouver Observer, and we do have a clip from Kelly, who was there earlier, and we're going to play a little bit of it right now. Here we go. This is from last Thursday on Kwantlen Territory, the Kwantlen Elder, Lake Kenton, I believe, and sorry for the mispronunciation, and he's got some words for us.
I too would like to thank the RCMP for helping us keep the safety roads enclosed for us to do your work. I a few years ago when we met at Cotton Polytechnic University, and we were just introduced to Kinder Morgan at that time, and I had 4 words for them right away when I first met them. The first 5 minutes I met them, I told them I have 4 words for you that's going to carry me right till the end of that pipeline, and those 4 words were
Are you allowed to say it?
over my dead body. So the pipeline itself, it goes right through my backyard and around right off of Quatlet First Nation, McMillan Island, onto Bray Island, across the slough and over onto the mainland here. A long time ago, before the highways were here, the Salmon River was flooded with people. 10,000 Kwantleans lived here. 10,000 Kwantleans. Every bend on that Salmon River is a place for a family to stay and do their business of trade. Every bend on that Salmon River has a family name to it. From Tawasin, Musqueam, all the way up the valley, Kekate, Katesy, Coquitlam. And from the neighboring tribes upriver, they would paddle down for days. They would come and we would trade. The Salmon River was our highway. That water, we drank from the water, we cooked that water, fed our babies. Portland territory here, it's too bad the clouds are up, but our lands were marked from mountain peak to mountain peak. That was our territory. And for you to know who you are, every person standing here today, especially the elders, you represent 5 generations of people. We're not standing here alone. You're standing here representing your 5 generations of people. And for us to know the difference between right and wrong have been carried from that first generation onwards. 10,000 years ago, we were here, we were living, and we plan to be here to time immemorial until the last sun rises. Our children have that right to be on this land and living freely with a good environment. It's their inherent right to the land, the water, the air, the rain, the snow, the wind, the ground, and from what's in the ground that keeps us healthy. Because every day you have to eat, and every day that food comes from the land. Anything where there's a pipeline, there's better ways to do it, safer. But never, never, ever in the watersheds when it comes to the First Nation people. Our watersheds are slowly diminishing. Our watersheds, we're starting to lose the water. It's bad enough to have an oil spill near that water. Kinder Morgan, they don't know these things. Kinder Morgan, they know money. Kinder Morgan, they know politicians. They know how to pay a politician. We don't do that. We stand for the truth, and we stand for what's right for your children's children. Cortland First Nation here has a very, very strong elders group and leadership. And we do believe that whenever issues arise that come to the environment, we'll be the first ones to come out with the drums the knowledge, the anticipation, and shake your hand to all those who came from the Burnaby Mountain. There was a promise up in Burnaby Mountain that they would be here, and they're here.
Awesome.
I can't extend my thank you enough to those who fight for our rights. And you don't even belong to Kwantlen, but you're here for us.
Awesome. It's all one.
What a beautiful world. And what a beautiful world you're making for the children. It makes our leadership stand strong. It makes us see the truth. And it gives us lots of time to show gratitude. It shows lots of time for us to say thank you. And lots of time for us to get to know each other as the people of the country, the land. The people of the land fighting for the people of the water, who also come from the people of the sky and from the people in the ground. You all have a direction to go in your life. And I'm so glad you stopped here at Kwantlen today and extend your best wishes to the safety of the environment of the nations that surround all of us right across British Columbia. Because every inch of land in British Columbia is on First Nations territory. Believe that, because it's true. You're on Kwantlen territory that overlaps with Matsqueet-Gatesy. And with that, someone cut me off. I'm going to turn this away, and I do believe we have a purpose today. And we need to fulfill this purpose with lots of safety. We need to fulfill our day so that when we go home, you can always know that we stand together, shoulder to shoulder. And from my family and the elders group in Kwantlen, I thank you all for being here, and I wish you all a safe journey home when it's all finished. And I thank our drummers and those who are reporting to the media. We need you to report the truth. We need to report the truth because that's how British Columbians live. British Columbians know better than to live a lie. We need to always speak the truth, know the truth, and hold your grandchildren up, telling them they're in a safer environment. And with that, I wish you all a great day. All my relations, Haichka Siya.
All right, that's Lakaten Kwantlen Nation Elder last week, Thursday at the rally for the Kwantlen people in opposition to Kinder Morgan after Kinder Morgan had drilled into the Salmon River estuary. And for those of you who want to know the physical location, it's 232nd Street, go north off the highway, and right at Glover and Rollinson. And you'll see the Salmon River wind around you, and beautiful kind of watershed and estuary there. So powerful words from Lakaten, and we're going to shift gears a little bit, but still in the salmon conversation. Alexandra Morton has highlighted a farm salmon escape in Norway. Actually, they're farm steelhead. Well, they're rainbow trout, okay? Like, they're kind of related, but on January 10th, a hurricane hit the southern end of Norway near Bergen, and a number of farmed rainbow trout escaped, and in response, steelhead fishermen and women, or whatever pronoun you prefer, headed to the river to catch as many rainbow trout before they could spawn, because they would once they hit the ocean, they they take on the steelhead kind of bio pattern and would spawn. So in a response, the sport fishermen ventured out in the fjords and caught bucket loads of them. So check that out on Alexander Morton's blog, alexandermorton.typepad.com, and you'll see video of what they caught. It's pretty amazing. So that's the salmon news headlines, both locally and internationally. And we're just going to take a quick break here, and we'll get right back to it with Shemama Bell Irving. We've got Holly and Kevin with some music. Be right back on Wild Salmon Warrior Radio, CJSF 90.1 FM, and broadcasting on New Hope Radio, Bella Coola, and CGMP Pearl River. Be right back.
Let's blue sky, let's imagine, let's get a dream of how good things can be. Let's blue sky, let's imagine, let's get a dream of how good things can be.
All right, we're back. Just like a pink salmon every 2 years, but it was only a couple minutes. We're here in the studio with Madeline and Shemama Bell Irving, and just reflections on what you heard, and you're a caretaker.
Yeah, well, I came to Burnaby Mountain the day the injunction was enforced. I stayed for one night, slept in a leaky tent with a guy named Dave, went home, and came back on the Sunday with the action bus, the Social Coast Action Bus, with 30 people and supplies, and I stayed for 8 more nights. And I remember the Kinder Morgan was not light and fluffy up there, and when we won and we were all celebrating, Sotlot came up and said, don't get too excited, because there's a lot more pipelines coming through and we're going to need you in Squamish because of the LNG plant. So I went home, and for 4 or 5 days I researched LNG and what was going on in Squamish. And then I came back on the Saturday and coincidentally ran into somebody who said, hey, there's a drill in Squamish. Do you want to go check it out? So we did a little road trip, 5 of us, jumped into the car and went up to Squamish.
It's like an activist tourist attraction. Oh my God, there's drilling in Kuala and Squamish.
It was so funny because we're pulling up and we're like, where is the drill? And the guy in the back's going, it says Industrial Way. I'm like, oh, we're at Industrial Way. Turn left. So we turned left and, oh, look, there's a drill. So we just parked the car and we just calmly walked over to this drill that was in the middle of the road. They really didn't have it blocked off. They had flagged people, but there was no safety measures around it. So we basically just walked right up to the drill and said, what are you doing? And of course they had to shut it down because we weren't wearing safety hats and, the hard hats and the Vesi vest. Everybody had to be dressed. So we shut them down.
You're going to get sued.
And then eventually they called the RCMP, who then told us to move off. We said we want to see their permits. They were never able to show us their permits, so we believe they were doing it without permits because we're told that that's what they're doing, what Fortis BC is doing right now. They're just drilling with no permits.
So it's Fortis and a subcontractor, or is it Fortis directly?
It was Fortis directly that was in charge of it, because they showed up afterwards to talk to us too.
Right.
But what ended up happening from that is another lady who's the Squamish lady with the LNG, who's like opposing it up there. She came and met me because she had seen on my Facebook page, because I was posting videos of the drill and what was going on to make sure that it was in real time. She showed up and said, I watched you on Burnaby Mountain and I had to come and meet you. And she said, I know all about this LNG. So it was an excellent connection at that point. So I went home for another week, and then I came back and I hit the LNG road tour with Science World. And basically they've been going around BC marketing LNG to our children from age 10 up. They bus the children in by school buses. It's mandatory for the teachers to bring them there. The job meant they have to take their kids.
Wow.
The permission slip to go to this says nothing about LNG anywhere on it. It just says it's a job fair. And when these kids get there, they walk in and it's a Work BC job fair. And every job in the job fair is welder, pipe fitter, carpenter, cooks, heavy metal or heavy machinery workers. Everything is to do with pipelines. There isn't one job in there that's counselor or, a doctor or anything. It's all pipeline jobs. So the kids go through that, and then they're taken out of there and they're put into the Science World demonstration.
So let me back up a bit, because it's just a job.
Just a job. Oh yeah, they'll make $80,000 to $90,000 a year,
Yeah.
more than their teachers, is what they were telling
Oh,
them.
wow.
I watched one girl pull a boy away from his. She said, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And he said, "I want to be a computer analyst." And she said, "Wouldn't you want to work with heavy machinery?" And she actually physically walked him over to the heavy machinery display. And by the end of it, he was still going, "No, I still want to be a computer analyst." And I was thinking, "Yeah."
It's like your parents telling you a job that you don't want. It just keeps coming over and over and
Yeah.
over again. So what I mean, you're around kids, and you know.
Yeah.
So what do you think their reaction was? I mean, generally, like I mean, that's
in general. There was
specific case.
most of them came outside because we weren't even allowed near the roundhouse with our. We were so threatening in our whale costume and salmon costume out in front, you know, and our dogs and our signs. But the kids would come out, like a group of kids came out and said that was total crap. Like,
Oh, wow.
and they said that was so brainwashing propaganda. Like there wasn't one job there that wasn't pipelines.
How old are these?
These girls were 15.
Oh, okay.
So it was quite enlightening and it gave me hope. It really gave me hope that they were not buying the propaganda.
These are high school students.
These were high school students, but before that we'd had age 10. They're starting at age 10.
Elementary. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Really indoctrination. Eh?
Totally. So they did that for 2 days in Squamish, and then I went home and celebrated Christmas and New Year's, and then I got them in Nanaimo on the 13th and 14th in January. They brought the road trip to Nanaimo, so I headed up there with 7 more protectors from Shawnigan. And the security was insane. All they had to do was get the kids from the school bus to the building, and there was about 40, not even that, maybe 20
Private
feet.
security or RCMP?
Private security, and then because we were standing there with our signs and trying to give out pamphlets, we weren't getting in the way. We were just standing there. If the kids wanted a pamphlet, they had to come to us to get the pamphlet. But it got to the point where the teachers were like freaking out that we were there, so they called the RCMP. So we ended up having 5 RCMP, 3 security guards, for 8 protectors.
It's a 1-to-1 ratio.
It was a 1-to-1
so
ratio.
did you pick your favorite?
Oh yeah, I just targeted them all actually, and just started
You can
talking
only
to
have
them all.
one. You can't have them all.
Oh, well, I had 2 that were really good. Well, they came up and said that we were there for 2 days. So we left and we came back the next day, and security was even tighter. And the school board was there, and they were like, "You can't scare the children." We said, "We're not here to scare the children. We're just here to show them the other side of the brainwashing tour." And they just weren't going to let us anywhere near them. So they were like totally freaking out. And then I eventually got banned from the building. I didn't do anything except go in and witness. I
You're
never
pretty
speak to
scary
the
just
kids.
with your words and stuff and the truth thing, and you know.
They're really scared of fracking. Like when they were kids would get off the bus, I would say, "Ask them about fracking. Ask them about fracking."
Right, so
And they don't want. There's nothing in their material anywhere.
it's just
in
more
the whole
work for the
thing.
teacher to answer questions.
It is.
seems, right?
It is.
Like they don't want to really have to answer all that for the industry.
No.
I mean, are all teachers just like I'm doing my job kind of thing, or like
Some of them were, "I'm just doing my job, stay away from my kids." Other ones were like, "Give me your pamphlets and learn." And they want to be able to show both sides to their kids. But we didn't get to talk to a lot of the teachers because literally the RCMP were blocking us from getting anywhere near the kids. It was really quite insane. And then when I went to Kamloops just last week, we drove up to Kamloops to do the road tour. When we got there, security was really tight again. They were, expecting us. And I didn't go in. I decided I was going to stand out in the magical yellow tape area they had given us to stand with our banners. And we knew the kids were coming out in 10 minutes because we talked to a bus driver. So we thought we would stand out there with our banners. And another group went in. Well, the other group that went in caused a little bit of, commotion. It's on video and everything.
Yeah.
And got their point across. And the kids were like, "Woo!" Because they were talking about fracking.
So let me stop a bit. So in Kamloops, Sequemic Women's Warrior.
Yep.
So did she provide any protocol to what she was going to do for the action there, and
Not really. I didn't have much of a chance to talk to them before we got there because we kind of basically arrived and went straight to the venue. So as I didn't know what they were doing, I thought I'm just going to stay back and because I didn't know what they were going to be doing. So I thought I'm going to just stay back and do what I do, which is hold banners and wave at the kids and say Google fracking, watch Gasland. And so we did that. And then after the thing, the kids all left. And that was it for the kids for that day, for the Tuesday. So I thought, well, there's no use sticking around. I don't really deal with the adults that much anymore because they're already well programmed and they're there for paychecks, right? So, and they're quite abusive from what I've discovered so far. So I just don't deal with the adults. I mean the kids. So the next day we came back with our banners first thing in the morning, and there were buses in there, and we discovered they'd locked down the whole entire venue. It was now nobody was allowed in, but we ended up sneaking in behind some guy who opened a door. So we snuck in and we got into the lobby, and
You're giving all your secrets away, you know. They're listening like it's
I know,
airwaves.
but they opened a door, I walked in.
I got to get out here safely, so you got the door first.
Yeah, so I stood in the lobby, and they said, you're trespassing, and etc., and you need to leave. And I said, they said, we called the RCMP. I said, great, I want to hear it from the RCMP. I don't want to take the word of some guy in a magical yellow coat telling me I have to leave. The RCMP showed up and arrested me.
Okay, so under what premise?
Mischief, apparently. I was doing mischief, but they didn't charge me. They just did catch and release, so I pretended to be a bass in the back of the cop car.
Sea bass or lake?
A lake bass, 'cause that's what I'm used to in Shawnigan. So I was a lake bass, and I just kept singing, I'm a bass, I'm a bass, I'm a bass.
And that worked?
Oh, it was funny. He was laughing at me the whole time. So, and my arresting officer's name was Halliburton. Oh, you can only imagine how much material I did with that one, you know? So
he admitted to his name. He didn't go by number, right?
No, he had his little name tag, and I couldn't stop laughing at him. But the fact of the matter is this LNG tour is brainwashing our children, and they're really scared of anybody putting the facts out there. Like me with my pamphlets was terrifying to them, and you could see
them, like when them,
the LNG tour people, the teachers, etc. Like they were just really paranoid that we were going to get anywhere near their kids.
You're generating fear. Way
I am.
Go.
I'm a fear monger. What can I say?
Don't admit it. Bill C-51.
I bring the truth is what I do.
Thank you.
I bring the truth.
I'll be guilty by association. Just okay. I'm in the media.
You got it.
We have some free expression.
I'm just trying to be the voice of reason.
Yeah,
know?
just.
Okay,
so we got less than 30 seconds. There's a CBC radio report. The superintendent of Kamloops was interviewed, and it was alluding how you're interrupting. They're trying to teach kids not to be, disruptive. And what would you say to the superintendent? You've got 30 seconds to all these, the propagation of demonizing what your free expression
I
rights.
would say the superintendent needs to start doing some research on what he's teaching his children, because what they're teaching their children is that destroying the planet for a paycheck is an okay thing, and that people standing outside holding signs that say I drink clean water with pictures of dogs are dangerous. I think the superintendent needs to start pulling his head out of his ass.
Oh, you said ass. All right, we're that's it for Wild Sound Warrior Radio before we get cut off. And Creatures of Habitat by Holly Arnson and Ken Wright. See you next week. We're going to talk about Mount Holly, another ecological disaster. See you later.